What is going on, everybody? Hope you're all having a great Friday. Obviously, it was a good Thursday night for yours truly. Chopped the 222. Had a chance to chop the million also for which would have been nice, but didn't quite get there with Mostert. Just needed one more play, really. And yeah, it was a good night. Ready to move on to the weekend. Got an interesting baseball slate tonight with the only obvious stack sort of being the Dodgers. Yet I don't think the Dodgers are going to be owned to the point where you should avoid them. So yeah, that's the obvious part. But it's weird that they're not that popular, even though they seem like the obvious stack based on any projection system you look at right now. So the Dodgers, the Mariners, the Yankees, the Blue Jays, that's who I'm going with. I also have some exposure to the Angels, the Padres, and the Giants. That's most of what I'm doing. I got a couple of little mini Texas stacks, but we need lineups out. Like the biggest thing with the Dodgers tonight is what are we going to do when a totally different lineup comes out and it's in a half hour, unless it comes out like right now. Like we could really use a Dodger lineup. We could really use a Padre lineup, which we got already. We could use, the Angels have a lineup out. Okay. Tice, they do have the Hope. So there's your cheap catching option. It's going to be the Hope show. I like Torrens as a pivot. I like the Seattle game, so I'm happy to use Torrens instead. But I'm going to make sure to get some exposure to that because I do think that is where I want to go. This kid is the top prospect in the Angels system. He's batting sixth. Good enough for me, as they say. So I'm in on that. And I'm still whittling down my lineups. I'm still figuring out exactly how I'm going to finish tonight, but I've got a good idea of what I'm doing, keeping those stacks, and then we get into pitching. Man, I like the high end, and I want to gamble for ceiling. So DeGrom, Alcantara, and Burns are probably my highest owned pitchers. And then you get into Gilbert, Flaherty, Manoah, and Darvish. That's pretty much my pitching pool. I'm throwing a couple Ty Alexanders and a couple Jordan Lyles just for the kicks of it, because I have Yankees against him. So also, I think it's actually not the worst play in the world. I could see, so we're going to do that. Pop in your questions, pop in your thoughts. Let's see what's going on with everybody. And I'm happy to answer everything. Everybody's always posting in the MLB chat at this time. I'm letting them know I'm on air now, and I'm talking about exactly what I'm doing. I will give a quick idea of what I'm doing in my builds, though. DeGrom, Alcantara, Burns, and Gilbert in my biggest buy-ins on DraftKings. On FanDuel, it's mostly DeGrom, Alcantara, and Burns. Shocker. Pretty easy to get whatever you want in on FanDuel. So taking the low-owned pitcher can be optimal here sometimes. And I like the idea of getting some DeGrom, Alcantara together when they're not going to be played. And the problem is I'm also playing them with an unowned stack, which is a little weird to do. Because I don't know. I like I wanted to play a little chalk in that lineup, but it's hard to do at the prices that they're at. So that's where I'm at. Also, any other pitchers to consider? There's a lot. I actually think, as much as I think like some Giants, Merrill Kelly should be in consideration at low ownership. Clayton Kershaw, although I'm not going to do it. Joe Ryan, even though I'm not going to do it. Valdez, Fried. These are the guys you play in the lottery and you just hope it works. Brady Singer. I actually do have some Brady Singer in one of my $88. He's in there. Even the super weird Pivetta play, because he's good against righties historically. I'm okay with. The one thing I'll be really way underweight on is anything in the Philly-Washington game. If it plays, fine. The winds are blowing in, horrible hitting conditions, whatever. I'll take whatever beating I have to from that. It's going to be hard to hit home runs there. Philly-Washington, and then the Angels, I'm underweight, even though I have a little bit. Home run calls I would make for today that I really like. I like Eugenio Suarez. I also like Mitch Haniger in that game. I like Aaron Judge, a little guy called Aaron Judge. I think he hits one out tonight. I really do. I think it's number 62 tonight. Maybe overshadows the Yankees winning by 74 runs or whatever, hopefully for me. So Haniger, so like all those guys. I'm also going to go with Mookie, and I'm going to go with Vlad Guerrero. Those would be my home run bets. You could throw a Will Smith in there for me as well. Those are my home run calls. Good to see you, Banks. Leading in FanDuel main stack. So again, Gabe, I love the questions. It's always hard to answer. I'm factoring ownership and everything into everything I do. So I have Seattle with the Dodgers on FanDuel with DeGrom. It's really easy to get in what you want. So that's where I'm at. And that is what I'm going to be doing with maybe a couple changes in some of my secondary lineups. I do want to point out, I posted the lineup that I chopped the win with last night before, about 8 hours before the game in Discord. It was the only lineup I posted the whole day. I said, this is what I would be doing. This is what I'm going to be doing tonight. I never changed that lineup. That stayed in my highest buy-in, which is I played 1 to 222, and I chopped it. I won it. Just to maybe pay attention to the early builds and stuff, guys. But it is going to be early builds because it's not to try to give you your exact lineup. You don't necessarily need to play the same thing. Just gives you an idea of what I'm actually doing. So that's what I wanted to really hyper emphasize. Anyway, so we have a big NFL season coming up. All right, let's see what else we got here. Yeah, and so those of you who are asking me about the early lineup builds and stuff like that, because it won last night with the one that I posted, I'm getting that in Discord a little bit, both DMs and in our general baseball chat. Yeah, my idea is we're trying to give you a path, right? We're trying to make everybody a better DFS player, but we also want people, to have a chance to play and win that night. So you get an idea of exactly what I'm doing, what my first thoughts are. I try to explain them as clearly as the day goes on. They usually don't change a whole lot in baseball, but in basketball, they change constantly because of player injury stuff. And they change constantly in football because of the same thing, and the pricing gets there. I appreciate that, Wavy. I think that is a really cool stack to have tonight that people aren't. I'm really on to the West Coast games. It's interesting when the weather, I paid a lot of attention to weather. So during the season, you almost always hear me talking about the early games as my favorites. It's not a coincidence that later in the season, I'm going to switch over to the West Coast games where the weather stays good longer. And because of Seattle being a horrible hitter's park, today Washington is a horrible hitter's park. You know what I mean? So they even out based on the not having to deal with the bad weather. And then we also have 70 degrees in the LA and San Diego games, and you've got 60 or 50 degrees with wind blowing in. Just think about how easy it is to hit one out, and you're playing for home runs in the end, right? You want to get at least 3 home runs on your squad, and you're probably at least cashing and doing something. You know what I mean? So that comes in the range of who do I think will hit the home runs, and then what stacks do I like to go best with where I see these happening and what games could go completely off. And that's sort of how you think about these DFS things. These slates play more like small slates usually in terms of ownership, not today in terms of ownership, but in terms of ways you play. Like you can play the 3-2-2-1. I finished 7th on FanDuel the other night in the biggest one with the 3-2-2-1. It's not the way that you should play in the middle of the season, but it is the beginning and the end of the season when you have so many pitching changes, when you have so many call-ups. You're just not going to see the same kind of run consistency. You're not going to see the same kind of offense, the same kind of guys with the same walk rate. You know what I mean? It's just not going to be the same. Yeah, I have some Haggerty and some Torrance. I have enough of them to where I've got everybody, basically. I'm trying to look. Let me see if there's anybody on Seattle I don't have. I'm not going to have more than the field. I don't think so. The lowest one I have right now is Ty France, but I am using plenty of Ty France and playing some of him with Suarez and some of him with Santana. So I'm playing some of Santana with Suarez, some of Santana with him. You know what I mean? Like it's just it's an interesting way to go. By the way, Sean Murphy is not in the Oakland lineup tonight, so a little bit of little bit of a bigger boost even to my man Gilbert. Jordan Diaz batting third, 2,100. I'll tell you what, with the way baseball's been running, you can literally play the A's at zero cost, at zero ownership. Logan Gilbert is going to look like a much better play once you see this lineup. But Garcia, Seth Brown, Tony Kemp, Jordan Diaz, anybody else, Langoliers, Capel, or Capel, however you pronounce it, Mashin, even if you want to include him in a 5-man. Tell you what, you could put a 4-man together with anything else you wanted to do and play the most expensive pitchers. And I think that's reasonable. And I love Gilbert. I'm very high on Gilbert tonight and in general. But if they can get 3 runs off Gilbert and then maybe a couple more off the back end, even if you only get like an average of 10 from your stack, if you get a 3 or 4-man, you're getting so much in equity for the rest of your team. And if they happen to go off and have a big game, 2 of the guys hit home runs, you get 20s from them in a 3 or 4-man. You're getting that. You're going to be crushing, and you're going to have every other big bat in the world that you want. So just the A's just price is going to have to grab you. There's nobody above 2.9K. Sandy and Burns. So Burns is going to be much more popular. So if you're with a more popular stack, I would go with Sandy. If you're with a stack you don't like as much, I think Burns has the more easily expected, positive outcome tonight. I think Alcantara is a better pitcher pitching against a better team, but I could see this being a great game for Alcantara. And he could win. He could literally win the Cy Young with like a complete game or something like that. So fire on any more questions, any more thoughts? Yeah, I don't think there's a whole lot more for me to touch on. My biggest fear is that as much as I talked about the Yankees, I don't have enough of them. I kind of fear that as a possibility. They have the 8-mile-an-hour winds blowing in from left, which is just hard for me. It's 62 degrees in New York. But do I expect some balls to land into the right field seats today? Yeah, absolutely. So I would say generally lefties, but Judge hits so many opposite field home runs. So here's my prediction. Judge is going to hit a 360-foot right home run to right field for his 60-second home run. We can make it cuter, right? 362. He'll hit 362 for his 60-second. That's my prediction for the night. But I like them against Lyles. I don't love that you have winds blowing against all the righties and you have a righty-dominant lineup. So that's it. All right, I'm going to get out of here, fellas. Appreciate all you guys. Please like before you get out of here. And remember to check on these early things. I'm not saying they're always going to win the top tournament. I'm just telling you they can, and you should be basing a lot of your decisions on some of this information. So I appreciate everybody, and we'll be in Discord the rest of the night. Good luck to everyone tonight, and let's crush it.